What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode. So if you guys saw in the last video, we got a decent amount of stuff done on the Mini. So most of the front end is off of this, and since that last video, I got my friend to come by and evacuate all the R134 that's found in the air conditioning lines, and I also had a friend that came by and dropped off the cherry picker. So this is what is going to allow us to pull the motor from the Mini once we have everything disconnected. Now once we have it out, I have an engine stand that I'm gonna put the motor on, and I've got the transmission that I've got to disconnect from that so I can put it on there. But we're almost there. All that we need to do next is a little bit more wrenching on the in the engine bay, get some of the other stuff out, and I've got to disconnect the subframe and the axles from the transmission. So as soon as we get that done, we can lift the entire thing up and out. So we're pretty damn close. Hopefully, fingers crossed, by the end of this, we're gonna have the engine out of the engine bay. So I'm super excited. It means that we're getting there. It means that progress is actually happening on this thing. So I'm gonna stop talking because that's not really productive, but we're gonna get into it and start working on this thing. Now you guys had a couple questions about the last video that I posted. So you're wondering why I was finishing it early. I told you guys in the end, of course, you know, who likes a small video? The reason why I couldn't continue with removing stuff from the Mini was because what was found inside of this. Now this is the AC condenser. It looks very similar to a rad, but instead of having coolant that runs through it, I have R134A, and that's the refrigerant that gets cycled in your AC system. So the R134A is not it's not an environmentally friendly product. So this entire thing is contained. So once you have your AC on, everything will cycle in the AC system. Nothing's gonna wear off. You're not gonna lose anything unless you have a leak. Now my Mini, I do not have a leak. So that means that there's gonna be refrigerant that's found inside those lines. Now, how do I say this? You physically can vent it out into the atmosphere just like you physically can go and kill someone. But just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. There's a responsibility that you have to do when you're taking care of this. So I had a friend that came by, and it actually took no time at all. I didn't have the tools to evacuate the AC system of the R134A, but he did. Now I'll link in the description box the tools that he used, but it was actually pretty sweet. So he hooked up the AC system, he took off the valves right here, the covers, 1 and 2, and he attached one of the lines that was from his machine. And his machine is basically a pump. So it basically sucks out all the R134 that's in those lines, sucks it out into the machine, and puts it into a container. The container looks kind of like a propane tank, but the one thing that I should have thought about before I parked the Mini was I should have gotten that evacuated first. But at the same time, there is a way to get around that, and luckily I had a friend that had the machine to do this. Otherwise, I'd be spending $400 or whatever the tool itself costs to evacuate it, or my other option would be put the wheels on the car, how it is, go bring it to a shop, tow it there, get them to empty the system, and then tow it back. But it's not exactly a very efficient or easy route to go. But I do have this evacuated, and because of that, I can remove the AC condenser. So in order to disconnect the AC condenser from the lines, there's 2 Torx bolts. One of them found right here, and another one found on the opposite side. Now, using my impact driver and a T30 Torx bit, I can you should be able to pull each one of them apart. And it should slide out rather easily. Okay, apparently there was still oil in that line. A little bit, but not much. Okay, there's 1 and there's 2. So the refrigerant was gone, but you can see there's still oil in the system. You can see like the yellow oil, that's a part of it. Got a little bit on my hands, but that's not a big deal. So we can take this entire thing and put this aside. So next up, we're going to be working on removing the axles from the transmission so that we can get it removed from the engine bay. So off camera, I removed each of the axle nuts that are found on the center of the brake rotor. It's held in place by a 32mm socket. Following that, you're going to need to disconnect the brake line along with the wheel speed sensor cable and the brake wear indicator, and those are both held in place up to the strut. Once you remove both of them, you can continue to remove the 2 16mm bolts that are holding the brake caliper up to the spindle. Now once you have them removed, you can then suspend the brake caliper from the spring of the coilover so that the brake line doesn't get worn out. Following that is the bolt and nut that clamp the coilover into the spindle. Once that's removed, the spindle will drop from the shock assembly. Then comes removing the nut that's securing the outer tie rod and then breaking the tie rod free from the spindle. Following that comes removing the two 19mm nuts that are securing the spindle to the lower control arm. Once that's out of the way, you can remove the spindle and set it aside. To make your life a little bit easier when removing your axle, you can remove the end link as well to give you more space, and to do that I'm using a 17mm socket with my impact gun. Okay, so where we are now with the wheels, the hubs, and everything pretty much in each one of the wheel wells disconnected, we need to take out the axles. Now, in order to take those out, we need to first drain all the transmission fluid that's found in the tranny, and that's found on the driver's side of the car. There's going to be two bolts, the fill and a drain. Disconnect the fill, make sure that can come out, disconnect the drain, take all the fluid out, and then put the drain bolt back in. Now, once you do that, we can take both the axles out. Now, the axles are very easy to remove. They're held in place on the end, on the inside of the transmission. They're held in place by a C-clip. I'll take a look at whatever that was in a second. But it's a C-clip that holds both of the axles into the tranny. So if you get a pry bar and you just pry out a little bit, it should just pop right out. Now you can do that for the driver's side. For the passenger side, there's an intermediary shaft, which is basically just an extension and a bracket so that the same size axle can be put on the passenger side, but because the transmission is found closer to the driver's side, you're going to need a shaft that can push the power from here and then to your axle. So that's what we're gonna be doing right now. As soon as the transmission stops dripping, you can grab your drain plug and put it back in there. Now, the main purpose of this is to get it so that most of the fluid is removed from the tranny, so that when we remove the axles, all that fluid is not gonna come out where the axles are. So instead, we're draining it so it's all down here. Now, once we have that just hand tight, we can go ahead and continue to remove the axles. So I've been trying to get access to this axle. Now, I found an easy way to remove it, and I just popped it back in to show you guys how simple it is. So if you guys are working on an axle that's held in place by a C-clip, if you get your pry bar and you stick it underneath one of the sides of it, what you have to do is apply constant pressure to it. And it doesn't matter how hard you're really trying to push on this lever, because it's not really gonna make a difference if you're trying to pull out the axle. So what you're going to want to do is apply constant pressure to it and just tap this with the hammer, and hopefully the inside part over here is gonna vibrate and then vibrate the C-clip that's holding the axle into the transmission. Hopefully that will let loose. Just like that. So as soon as you get that little movement, you should be able to, well, wiggle the entire thing out. But what I'm gonna have to do is just get the pry bar and help me push it out. So it sometimes is stuck, but if you put some pressure on it, you can see it comes out. There's a motor mount that's attached to the back side of the block, which is called the torque arm, and that needs to be removed by taking off the two 16mm bolts that are securing it up to the subframe. It prevents the engine from rocking forwards and backwards while the engine goes under torque and then lets off. Once that's removed, you can then have access to the bolts that are securing the intermediary shaft up to the engine. Now those again are also 16mm bolts, so remove both the one on the bottom and the top to disconnect the axle from the engine. Once that's done, you can simply loosen up and remove the entire axle from the engine and the transmission. So for the people that are wanting to do this exact same thing, this axle right here, the one in the center of the screen, is the driver's side. And you can see that there is a little C-clip found on the end of the axle, and that's what's holding the entire axle into the transmission. Now, the thing that's securing the passenger side axle into the transmission is not the little C-clip. You can see there is none found on this one. It's the two bolts that are securing this intermediary shaft in place. So as soon as you take both of the bolts that are securing that in there, you can slide the entire thing right out and the axle will be removed. With the engine bay looking like this, there's not much else that's holding the engine and transmission in the engine bay. So we're gonna work on next the shifter cables along with the clutch slave cylinder that's attached and routed from the back side of the tranny to the front down here. To remove the shifter cables, we first need to disconnect these from the transmission. So we're gonna take both of these off, and in order to do that, we have to first take off these little clips. I'm using a set of pliers to lift up the front and then push back, and that's going to expose this. You're then going to want to do the same thing for this one here. And they should slide off pretty easily. Next up, we have to pull each one of these cables off of the mechanism right here. Now you can pry it off, pull it off any way you can. Now I'm just going to be using a set of needle nose pliers and prying them just like that. So once you have them both off, we can remove the connectors that are holding each one of these cables onto the tranny. So each of these brackets here need to be disconnected. So there's a bolt here and a bolt here that secure the entire bracket and both cables onto the tranny. Now you have to use an external Torx 12 socket to take them out. So there's one. And then there's the other one. So once you have both of these disconnected, you can see the cables can both be lifted and removed from the transmission. So we're going to set them there for now, and we're going to continue on with a couple more things that are connecting up to the engine. While we're working over here, there's this connector found on the side of the shifter mechanism. That is the reverse lockout switch. So you're going to grab a little pick and pull it up, and then when you do that, we should be able to lift out the connector from the tranny. Just like that. Now another easier way to get this off is you can push down on here instead of pulling up. If you push down on the clip, it will release it from the connector, but if you pull it up, there's not going to be anything that's holding it on either. So both methods will work. Next up, we need to remove the slave cylinder that's found on the bottom side of the transmission. So from the front of the engine, if you go down, there's going to be two 10mm nuts that are securing the slave cylinder up to the transmission's housing. Simply unscrew them and the entire slave along with the line will come out of the way. What needs to be done next, at the back side of the motor, there's going to be the starter. We have to disconnect the 13mm nut that goes on here. That is the power. And the signal wire is right here. Now there's going to be a little clip on the bottom side of it that you push in and then you pull out on the connector. Now that is going to release this wire from the motor, and then if we follow this, we're going to follow this cable here to the front, and that's going to be the power for the alternator. So with the front support on the entire front end disconnected, you can see how much easier it is to get access to your alternator. Now there's going to be a 13mm nut on top of the alternator that needs to be disconnected. So once you loosen that guy, and take that out, you're also going to have to disconnect this, which is a little connector that goes to the alternator as well. And then we're going to have to backtrack this entire cable, and there's going to be two bolts on the side of the motor that are securing it in place so it doesn't want to move. Once we disconnect this wire, this is going to be the last thing that's going to be securing anything to the motor. So at that point, we can take off the motor mounts and then take the entire engine out of the engine bay. On the passenger side of the engine bay, we're going to find one bolt found right here, which is the bolt that's connecting the mini wiring harness to the side of the block. So, with the 10mm bolt removed, you can see that it's now loose. There's going to be one found here and another one found on the back side of the same spot on the engine. Getting access to that same bolt found back here is going to be somewhat difficult from the top side of the engine bay. But if we come down into the wheel well, we'll have an easier spot to get access to that 10mm bolt. You're going to slide the extension and your 10mm socket in your wheel well, in front of the strut, and you're going to see the 10mm bolt that's found deep behind there. It's that guy right there. So you can get access to it from here, and I find that this is a little bit easier to get to it than from in the engine bay. Next up comes working with these motor mounts. So it's kind of a weird design, but this motor mount has a ground cable attached to it. So I'm just going to be using a 13mm socket to zip that off. And when you do that, the wire should come out and there's going to be a bolt that drops underneath it. Just be sure not to lose them. If you want, you can even put it back like that. And because we went to that extent, I'm going to actually remove the ground cable completely from the chassis as well. And it should slide right up once you have it disconnected, like so. So guys, we're almost there, and that's where this video is going to complete. I'm kidding. No, that's a lie. We're not doing that. We've gotten this far. We're going to take this thing out before the end of this video. So right now, everything is pretty much disconnected. We have a couple wires on this side that we just need to slide around when we're lifting the motor up and out. But right now, all we need to do next is remove the two bolts that are connecting the motor mounts up to the actual engine, and the same thing for the transmission on this side for the tranny, this side for the engine. But we're almost there. Once we do that, we can lift the entire thing up and out, and we have our motor and trans out of the car. I'm so pumped, and I'm actually excited that we've gotten this far. It has taken a couple videos and a decent amount of time to get to this point, but hopefully getting everything built and doing it this way is gonna make life easier. So since I removed the whole front end, it should be easier to work on all this stuff. I should be able to clean up the engine bay, make everything look perfect, and really focus on every part in the engine bay instead of just getting my cylinder head rebuilt. So let's get going and remove this engine from the bay. So with it like this, let me just walk you guys through what I'm gonna do. I'm going to support the full weight of the engine and transmission. I'm gonna be using this hole right here, along with this. Now this is a clip that is rated for over 2,000 pounds. So this guy right here should be easily strong enough to hold my engine and transmission. But I'm gonna be using one guy here to support it, so it's gonna thread onto that little hole. And then I'm also gonna have the chains on the cherry picker to support this entire side. So I should easily have less than 2,000 pounds removed here. I'm guessing the engine and trans, let's call it 500 pounds. If it weighs that much, if I was using just one clip, that would be strong enough to lift the entire thing up and out. But I wanna try and lift it so the engine and transmission don't topple when I try to take it out and disconnect the motor mounts. But when I have this thing on there, I'm then going to remove the nut there for the center of the motor mount, remove that guy there, and then I'll be able to lift everything up and out. Now there's this wire here that's in the way. There's an AC line right here that's in the way. There's the clutch slave cylinder down there. I should be able to be clear from that. And the shifter cables, and then a couple wires. Everything should be pretty clear, but I just have to pay attention when I'm doing this not to snag anything. So guys, the motor is out and I am super excited. So we've got the engine, trans, we've got it fully out of the engine bay. Now, what does this mean? That means that I can start taking apart the mini motor, take the transmission off of it, take the head off, take the timing stuff off of it, and basically break it down and strip it back to like a bare block. So we're gonna be replacing most of the internals that are in there now with better upgraded components. And with the engine bay like this means that I can take everything else apart, clean it up, and my OCD can be satisfied. Because all of this dirt that I couldn't get before, I can now clean and bring back to basically how it was new. But that's pretty much where we're gonna end it for this video. Motor's out, so I'm happy. The next video, we're probably gonna be ripping that apart or working on something in here, but we've gotta get this engine ready because spring is around the corner and this thing needs to be running for then. So if you guys have any questions regarding the video, throw them down in the comment section below and I'd be more than happy to help. Again guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.